Hello, BookTube. I've got a little mail for you, some of it opened and some of it not. I know that I should open everything on camera, but once again, a couple of books got by me and got to me already open. And the ones that are already open, I'll show you those first, and there's three of them, and they're a barrage along a similar theme, so you should get your TBRs ready. But before that, a little housekeeping update. It's a cool and overcast Tuesday here in Boston. The rain has moved out for the time being, but the humidity has stuck around. The humidity is in the upper 90s, which is just crushing. Those of you who live in countries that don't get that kind of humidity, there's really no way for me to describe what it feels like. But it does not allow you to feel fully refreshed by the cool air, because the humidity just is a blanket on top of you. It's, for me, rather comforting, although it can be a lot of a strain for the little bean when we're out and about on our walks, because the humidity really takes it out of you when you move at all for any reason. But the little housekeeping update that I wanted to give you involved the piece of tech that I got in the mail yesterday. Yesterday, I got a 10-year-old Chromebook that I ordered off of eBay for $30. It was a Samsung XE303C12, which was their first Chromebook from 2012. Neat little 11.6-inch item that I saw for really cheap, and I researched it on YouTube and kind of liked the look of it. Thought I might like to play around with it, but it did not work. And I don't mean that there's a key missing or there's a function that doesn't work. I mean it didn't turn on. The LED at the power socket turned on, so somewhere or other power is going into the machine, but the screen would not light up, and the screen was dead. It wasn't just that the screen wasn't lighting up, but that the machine was on and that I was missing it. There was no volume, no visual, no nothing. It was a dead machine. A little bit irritated about that. I sent a note to the seller, because eBay works by a very egalitarian, ethos. There's not much you can do with a third-party seller who sends you a piece of crap, except the worst possible thing, which is to give them a bad rating. A lot of people on eBay look at ratings, and some even I do. I certainly read everything, all the comments that are attached to that seller. I didn't read anything that showed me that this seller would intentionally send me a dead device, but I have a feeling that's what they did. How could they not have noticed the thing didn't turn on? One way or another, there is an elaborate and kind of chest-beating process through eBay to do a return, print a label, get everything done like that. I think I'm just going to skip it. I know that's very American of me, but I think I'm just going to eat the $30 and just skip it. The only thing, I'm not really going to worry about returning it to the seller. I think it's a lot of that's way too much bother for something that is basically an inert hunk of tin. The only problem, the only thing that I need to fight against, is the natural inclination when one Chromebook that I ordered in the mail doesn't work, which is to order another old Chromebook. When, as several of you pointed out, in varying degrees of stridency, I don't actually need another Chromebook. I don't actually need to do that, even if it is only $30. I will just have to resist that impulse, that's all. But those of you, plenty of you were asking if you could have an update on how that Chromebook works. Quite a few of you emailed asking, saying you wouldn't mind hearing me talk a little bit more about the Chrome experience. I'd be happy to do that. This is not a tech channel, but I live and die on laptop tech, obviously, since it's literally my whole job. My job would not be possible if it weren't for that technology, so I'm always exploring it. But one way or another, that'll be down the line. For now, the tech note for today is disappointing, which is the piece of tech. It wasn't just that it worked, but that it turned out not to be quite to my liking. Like, for instance, once upon a time, I ordered a very old, I think a 15-year-old Lenovo ThinkPad, one of the earliest ThinkPads, because I liked the look of the keys, I liked the format of the device, but the keys, whether the device was like that originally or just became that way over time, the keys and the trackpad were so terrible that although there was nothing wrong with the machine, even after all this time, it was still getting Google Chrome updates. I was just pounding on it to get it to do anything. Where if I'm hitting the letter F and I have to hit it 3 or 4 times for the F to appear, I'm not going to use the device. But this wasn't a case of that, where I got the device and it worked, but it didn't work the way I wanted. I got the device and it was useless, a paperweight. We'll see. Well, I mean, we won't see. I'm sorry. I'm sure I won't order any more technology. I don't need any more technologies. I'm sure that I won't. But anyway, the books. First, we'll do the 3 that are already open, and they are all thrillers. So if you're in the mood for thrillers, one of these things is certainly going to be up your alley. And these all come out, I believe, I'll give you the dates for them. This one comes out in November. I think they all do. This is called How to Murder a Marriage. And if this is a marriage to Deb, it will either be a suicide or assisted suicide. One way or another. This is by Gabrielle St. George. And let's see what we have here. Give a man, so the tagline is, give a man enough rope and he'll hang himself. But be careful, the gallows loves a crowd. Gina Malone, a best-selling relationship advice author and expert on exes, meddles in other people's affairs for a living. It makes for enemies. One of them is scaring her to death. A modern-day Miss Lonely Hearts, Gina's smart, she's sassy, she's got a potty mouth, and she's determined to live life on her own terms. She's also divorced, an empty nester, and turning 50. In the true spirit of midlife crises, Gina dyes her hair, pierces her nose, and moves to a tiny tourist town on the Canadian shores of Lake Huron. Just as she's settling into her new life and deciding whether to fall into bed with her hot contractor, side note, the answer is always yes. Gina advises a reader to leave her husband right before the woman goes missing. And Gina's got a stalker. Is it her vengeful ex-husband, the abusive ex of the missing woman, or her new crush's crazy ex? All 3 would love to get her alone in some dark and deserted place, which isn't tough to do since her new residence is an old family cottage she's renovating on an empty stretch of beach. Okay, well, that sounds like a lot of fun. I won't get to any of these before they come out. Thrillers don't have quite the same centrifugal pull on me that an 800-page biography does, but that sounds like a lot of fun. So the next one we have has a beautiful cover. This is by Lynn Reeves, and it's called The Dangers of an Ordinary Night. Look at that. Ordinarily, I sort of bemoan the lack of imagination in a photo cover, but the manipulation of the clouds in the background there and the street light makes this work. And some of them do work. I've seen some that do work. So what have we got here? On a chilly evening at the prestigious Performing Arts High School of Boston. Oh, this is supposed to be Boston Brownstones. Huh, okay. Best friends Tally Carrington and June Danforth go missing after auditioning for a play. They're last seen in grainy, out-of-focus surveillance footage that shows them walking away from the school. 2 days later, in a town south of Boston, Tally is found disoriented and traumatized by the ocean's edge, while June is pronounced dead at the scene. Let's hope the town south of Boston is not South Boston. That's going to be wicked awkward if so. Tally's mother, Nell, is so bent on protecting her daughter from further emotional harm that she ignores rumors of her husband's involvement and enlists the help of Cynthia Rollins, a reunification therapist with personal insight into the riptide that hides below the surface of every unsuspecting family. Meanwhile, Detective Fitz Jameson uncovers a criminal undertow involving the high school's overachieving students and finally sees an opportunity for personal redemption from a secret that's haunted him for years. As Nell, Cynthia, and Fitz confront their own contributions to the scandal that beleaguers them, their lives turn out to be more deeply entwined than they'd imagined. In the end, they must decide what lengths they're willing to go to protect the people they love while also saving themselves. The Dangers of an Ordinary Day. That does sound good. These do. That's also in November. And then the last of these thrillers, the last of the open books, is by Ian K. Smith, and it's called Wolf Point. It's an Ash Kane novel. Slightly less effective photo cover there. What have we got here? Is this also November? No, this one is early October. A Cadillac, a pistol, and a corpse make for another morning in Chicago. The body belongs to Walter Griffin, a prominent black Chicagoan insider hailing from the city's west side. He ascended to the upper echelons of the mayor's office only to meet his end in a watery grave at Wolf Point. Forensics finds his prints on the gun. It's ruled a suicide. It's never a suicide. But grizzled private investigator Ash Kane knows better. Griffin's children plead with a reluctant Ash to hunt their father's killer. They know their dead dad wouldn't have taken his own life without a goodbye, and Ash knows this town's dark secrets often mean murder is not too far away. Ash decides to take on the case and navigate a city rotting with corruption, racial tensions, and sketchy backroom deals. On the bleak streets of Chicago, it's every man for himself, and that makes everyone a suspect. So, standard Chicago PI type stuff. We'll see what comes of it. He's a private investigator. I always find it a little difficult when authors haul out private investigators in the 21st century. Because what is a private investigator in the 21st century? They bail bondsmen, bail jumpers, they process paper, they process claims. But what high school senior with a cell phone can't access more public records faster than a grizzled private investigator on Chicago's tough west side? He'd still be fumbling with the public Wi-Fi when, Naomi from West Central High says, oh yeah, it's like totally so-and-so is the murderer. Well, maybe not. Maybe this book will do wonders for that. That would be great, because I don't often find private investigators in 21st century thrillers convincing. But anyway, those are 3 thrillers. So they're all coming out in the autumn. Put them on your list if thrillers are up your alley. Especially, I would say, The Dangers of an Ordinary Day. Although this thing sounds like a hoot. How to Murder a Marriage sounds like a hoot. And some of you, I know, have a weak spot for grizzled private investigators. So there's something to please everybody in these 3. And then we'll do the 2 packages that will open on camera here the way God intended. What's this first one? From Harvard University Press. Oh my. Oh my. All right. Paging Jason Harrigan and Mark Richardson. Now that I think about it, good Lord, I'm surrounded by ex-theologians. This is by Conrad Schmidt and Jen Schroeder, and it's called The Making of the Bible. From the first fragments to sacred scripture. So what have we got here? Do we have any kind of a sheet that goes with this? No, we do not. All right, so this comes out at the end of October. The authoritative new account of the Bible's origins, illustrating the 1600-year tradition that shaped the Christian and Jewish holy books that millions know today. The Bible as we know it today is best understood as a process. Oh, that's good. That's very good. One that begins in the 10th century BCE. Which I'm told stands for before Common Era. But the Common Era started with Jesus. And it used to be BC, meaning before Christ. And there's nothing wrong with that. And that's not disrespectful to Muslims or to atheists. It's not saying that Jesus exists, much less that he was divine. It's saying that Christianity exists, and it started around 33 AD. So I don't get it, especially in a book about the Bible, but we'll let it go. In this revelatory account, a world-renowned scholar of Hebrew scripture joins a foremost authority on the New Testament to write a new biography of the Book of Books, reconstructing Jewish and Christian scriptural histories as well as the underappreciated contest between them, from which the Bible arose. Recent scholarship has overturned popular assumptions about Israel's past, suggesting, for instance, that the 5 books of the Torah were written not by Moses, but during the reign of Josiah centuries later. The sources of the gospel are also under scrutiny. The authors reveal the long, transformative journeys of these and other texts en route to the inclusion in the holy books. The New Testament, the other authors show, did not develop in the wake of an Old Testament set in stone. Rather, the two evolved in parallel, in conversation with each other, ensuring the continual mutual influence of Christian and Jewish traditions. Interesting. Oh, that's interesting. Okay, well, I'm interested in the subject, and so are the other 2 of the 3 Musketeers. So we will see. We'll see. And then we have a box, and it's fairly heavy. So I'm going to grab the scissors here, see if we can break our way into this. It's fairly heavy, so it will either be. My guess would be either the only 2 alternatives, right? It'd be either a big finished copy or multiple books. I'm up for either one. So let's see what we have here to finish out our mail haul for today. Oh, no, it looks like it's only one book. Oh, it's one big book. Okay. It's one big book. Oh, okay. All right. This is a finished copy of something we've already seen. Wow, I'd completely forgotten about this. This comes out in early August. It's by James Lapine, and it's called Putting It Together, How Stephen Sondheim and I Created Sunday in the Park with George. This is the finished copy. A slightly oversized thing. I don't know if you can make that out, but it's taller and wider than a normal hardcover, probably because it's loaded with illustrations. Yeah, it's loaded with illustrations. Okay. It's been a while though, so let's go over this again. No, no, that's not going to do it. Putting It Together chronicles the 2-year odyssey of creating the iconic Broadway musical Sunday in the Park with George. In 1982, the author, at the beginning of his career as a playwright and director, met Stephen Sondheim, 19 years his senior and already a legendary Broadway composer and lyricist. Shortly thereafter, the two decided to write a musical inspired by George Seurat's 19th century painting, A Sunday Afternoon on the Island of La Grande Jatte. Through the conversations between Lapine and Sondheim, as well as most of the productive team, and with a treasure trove of personal photographs, sketches, script notes, and sheet music, the two Broadway icons lift the curtain on their beloved musical. Fantastic. I got an advance copy of this, and I'm sure that when I got an advance copy, I'm sure that I said the first thing that came to my mind now, which is Juan at Just Juan Reader, a fellow booktuber, who is, 1,000 times bigger a Sondheim fan than I am, and I should send him this book. Down there in Mexico City, I think, is where he lives, or nearby. I'll have to get in touch with him somehow. I don't think I email with Juan. But I'll leave a comment on his latest video letting him know to get in touch with me, because I will happily send this down Mexico way. I'll be happy to do that. It's better in his hands than mine. I'm not sure if I have the advance copy anymore. But this should go to him anyway, even if I need to hold on to it for a week in order to review it. One way or another, that is coming out in early August. A book for you Sondheim fans, really, and fans of Sunday in the Park with George. So there you go. That is the mail. We have Putting It Together, the finished copy. We have The Making of the Bible. And we have 3 thrillers: How to Murder a Marriage, Wolf Point, and The Dangers of an Ordinary Day. Or, I'm sorry, an Ordinary Night. The Dangers of an Ordinary Night. So once again, we're all across the spectrum here, but it's a good spectrum to be on. So that is your mail for today. The day is threatening rain, but is not. I don't think it is going to rain. So in about an hour, I will suggest to Her Majesty that we go for a little walkie poo, and she probably won't resist. The rain would make her simply flat out refuse. She would refuse to even get off the couch unless I go down to the door. But if it's not raining, maybe she'll say yes, and that would be great, one way or another. That is your check-in for today. Unfortunately, negative stuff to talk about with the tech. For the first time ever, I got a defective item from eBay. It just doesn't work at all. But a bunch of great books, so that's something. And eBay is still there, tempting me, calling to me. So I will wrap this up for now, but I'll be back. Thank you, BookTube.